Men of Reddit, what are some less obvious red flags about men you would want to caution women against? So about his last 3 relationships and why they ended. If it is always the girl was crazy, it's him, has crazy. I'm coming in late, but this is something I've tried to teach all my daughters. Men will show you how they feel with their actions. If they say they care, but don't put in the effort, listen to the actions, not the words. Good advice for dating, but also good advice for life, really. Many men only know how to relationship flirt. They will say things like I'm looking for something long-term when really they just want to hook up. A friend of mine dated a guy who apparently everyone wanted to fight. At the gym. This guy over here want to throw down. At a mall. Those guys look like they want to get hit. At the grocery store. This dude is looking at me like he wants to go outside. No, Steve. No one feels like fighting you. You are just on steroids. Any aversion to taking responsibility. The older I get, the more I find that the men I respect most aren't the ones with great achievements to their names, but rather the ones who aren't afraid to own their shit. If anything happens to him and he always shifts blame to someone else, or something else, or the situation, that is a big red flag. Sooner or later everything will be your fault. Also, if their story, complaint, rant, or explanation sounds too one-sided, again unable to take blame themselves, they are lacking empathy. Red flag. As someone who is very guilty of this, focusing a ton on you and your needs, but hardly paying attention to their own. Someone like this can come across as sweet, selfless, and caring, but they're actually avoiding their own problems to focus on yours. You're not a partner to them, you're a distraction, and even they themselves may not realize it. When you have to cater to his needs once over your own with no compromise. It can be something as only watching shows that he wants, or doing things only he wants to do, or ordering takeout that only he likes. Don't trust a man who can joke about others but can't take it. I know that this can apply to women. The thing is, I shouldn't need a disclaimer just to gain permission to critique men, and some of you shouldn't need to drag women down just to acknowledge a personality flaw. You'll be able to tell if a guy is nice by how he behaves. If a guy tells you he's nice, ignore that. That's meaningless. If he isn't on the same level of maturity of you, regardless of age, don't go for it. One of you will turn into the parent. Don't ever be fooled by how a man treats you. Look at how he treats unattractive women and other men. If they verbally attack you in an argument rather than discuss the issue. If they constantly shit-talk other guys. If he starts throwing tantrums over petty things, there is worse on the horizon. He's not passionate, he's unstable. If he's dumb, but thinks he's smart. If they behave like they know everything. Change is certainly not their cup of tea. If he's a selfish lover in bed, he'll likely be a selfish partner in life. If a guy's doing the minimum of what you want in a long-term relationship at the beginning, it's going to be well below your standards after a few years. I would expect about half of what you see in the first year. If he believes relationships without arguments or screaming matches are doomed for lack of passion, he probably hasn't learned to communicate in a healthy way. This goes for both genders. But don't date someone under the assumption that they'll change something fundamental about themselves. Not fair to either of you. Lots of gossip. If he talks about other people, he'll talk about you. When they don't respect the word no, even in the most benign of circumstances. Constantly indirect, it's leaving wiggle room so he can claim he wasn't lying later. When someone is declaring multiple times they are not a certain way without prompt, they are actually that way. If he doesn't want to talk about awkward stuff while you are dating, then he might not want to talk about awkward problems in the relationship. It is interesting how people make their own interpretation of things. I never gave any definition of awkward, nor did I specify any timelines, but some folks seem to cherry-pick the definitions they want, so they can discount this. Unfortunately, it doesn't change the core concept. If you are dating someone, and they have stinky socks they leave lying around instead of going into the laundry, that's an awkward topic. If one person talks about how much they want to be a parent to their own biological kids, and the other knows they don't want children, that's an awkward topic. Humans do have a tendency to try to avoid stuff that makes them uncomfortable, or scares them. We tend to hope problems will go away if we leave them alone. I've talked to a lot of friends who got divorced, who thought their partner would change after marriage. You don't need to give your intimate autobiography on a first date, but if you see an obvious issue, like the children example, there's no point in waiting a while to point it out. Sober men trying to pick up super drunk women. If he tries to make you feel crazy and validate your feelings for being uncomfortable about something or for having boundaries, run. If he mentions that he's a nice guy every few sentences, stay away from him. Blaming their childhood on treating you and others like rubbish. This one is extremely obvious, yet I've seen dozens of women still make the same mistake. If he's rude, selfish and possessive before you're dating, He will not change once you start dating. I don't know why so many women think that a man will have an epiphany and become better once they get in a relationship. People very rarely change. A green flag to look for is long-term friendships. Long-term friends require good communication skills and emotional intelligence. It's also a pretty good indicator that they're willing to compromise for someone's emotional needs. If you hear a little voice inside you that says I can change this man, he is not the man for you. When he looks to you as his sole source of happiness, entertainment. This usually means that they lack the ability to manage their own emotions or have healthy coping mechanisms. In addition, if you are in it for the long term, there will be times that you will get sick of each other and a guy needs some hobbies that can take his attention away to give you space. This can be an open door for manipulation. As a father, things I've tried to teach my daughter to be aware of are subtle manipulations. In a healthy relationship there is no let us in, letting you do stuff or asking for permission. Watch for subtle controlling, passive-aggressive comments or remarks. If he attempts to drive a wedge between you and your friends or family, move on. Watch and listen to how he treats other people. If you don't have self-respect, he won't treat you with respect. If he doesn't call for days then acts like it's no big deal, move on. If he's clingy, definitely move on. Having a victim mentality attracts predatory, abusive behavior. If anyone treats you less than how you feel you deserve, it is imperative you deal with it early and quickly. If there's no meaningful communication or compromise, don't waste your time. Life is too short to deal with a possessive, jealous, controlling, manipulative, emotionally stunted or wrecked man. You can't fix people. Protect yourself and move on with your life without that person and don't look back. It's okay. Breakups are tough when you've invested your time and heart, but you'll be better off alone than with someone like that. If he scares you, come to your dad's house. If he's smart, he won't follow you here. If they like to solve problems with violence, then just keep in mind that you may be the source of problems at some point. No one mentioned the replacement mom issue. I unfortunately had some friends who thought that once they get into a serious relationship that it's the woman's sole purpose to clean after them. No man, children. If he's always sucking his own dick, he'll probably end up with back problems later in life, and the last thing you need is a guy with back problems. If he says all my exes are crazy and tells you stories about all of them where he's always the victim, run. Seems no one has brought up this. Triangular flag on post, triangular flag on post, triangular flag on post, when he says, don't worry about working, I'll take care of you. Does he mean it's okay for now, or does he mean he low-key doesn't want you to have the means to leave if when things go bad? There is a huge difference between support and sabotage, but they come in a similar looking package sometimes. Edit update. Glad to see the few mentally well men on here who don't seek to trap a partner, but the point of this thread is red flags and financial dependence is one when it happens in certain context. Just wanting to promote the action of looking deeper into the situation and not just trust someone's word. I witnessed it myself my whole life and have a partner who can't stand the thought of me making more than him, and he's a nice guy on paper. I want to work, I miss work, but he owns 2 vehicles for himself. One is a sport bike I cannot operate, the other he takes to work daily, and has done nothing to help me get back into a car since mine broke down. We often scrape by while he said to me in the beginning, don't worry about money, you don't have to work for now, I can take care of you, then complains that we are a single income home. Then when I ask for support in establishing work at home, he clams up. My laptop broke and he bought a $500. It is clear where his priorities are versus my needs as a partner. He wants me to be home, not equal. Only after I moved across country to support his job and left my family network did he begin to complain about his ex getting a job and her attitude that came with making $15,000 a year when he makes over $50,000. Had I known his support was actually sabotage, I would have stayed where I was. I am taking steps on my own to change the situation. I just thought it was odd the actual men of Reddit did not bring this up, because everyone sure likes to bring up love bombing but not the money issues. If they don't like dinosaurs, overpleasers. They never seem to have their own opinion, especially if it conflicts with yours. Yes, men are for corporations, not relationships.
I hope you all are doing well, and thanks for watching. Don't forget to like if you enjoyed this video. If you have something to say critically or otherwise, leave a comment. And if you enjoy this content, don't forget to subscribe to see more of it. I hope you all have wonderful and fulfilled lives.